Tov, welcome. It's good to have everyone back, and we are going to be learning today the book of Mishlei, chapter 10. King Solomon speaks again and shares his wisdom, really beautiful. Some of the most famous psukim that are in the book of Mishlei are in this chapter. Really very famous and very beautiful psukim. Right here in Mishlei, Proverbs chapter 10. Really beautiful lesson. So chapter 10, verse 1, pasuk aleph. Here we go. I'm going to read and explain. Mishlei Shlomo. These are the Proverbs of Shlomo, of Solomon. And like I said, this means that there are multiple interpretations for every single lesson. There's the analogy, what it's compared to, a more spiritual meaning, and multiple levels. And this is a very powerful verse, he says here. A wise son will make his father happy. Uven ksil tugat imo, and a foolish son is the sadness of his mother. Now you wonder, why is it that the smart son makes his father happy and the foolish son makes his mother sad? What's the difference? And why is the mother not happy when the son is accomplishing things? And there's just a very beautiful explanation that says that the fathers are often there at the moments of pride, at a graduation, at milestones, and so they're there to get the joy. But who's there really in the most difficult moments? It's often the mothers that are waking up at night and making sure that when there's a crisis, they're there. So ben chacham yasamacha, the wise son makes his father proud. Uven ksil tugatimo, but a foolish son is the sadness of his mother, not because she's not there for him at the proud moments, but rather because she's there for him at the difficult moments and is always there to support her son. Pasuk bet. If a person gathers money in a dishonest way, it's not going to help him. It's not going to bring him any good. Very, very famous verse. Charity can save one from death. There's a famous story about Rabbi Akiva's daughter. It says that they saw that she was destined to die. And on the day of her wedding, she gave all of the food that she had basically to a poor person. And they found a snake, a serpent that was dead right next to her. And they realized this pasuk, tzedakah tatzil mimavet. If you give charity, it saves from death. Furthermore, it says in the Gemara, in the Talmud in Bava Batra, it says that Halo paros la'raev lachmecha, give your food to the hungry, v'aniyim merudim tabibait, and you will bring impoverished people into your house. And the rabbis say it means a person has two choices when they have excess money. They either give it to poor people and give charity, or they will bring the taxes and unnecessary spending to them on themselves. So always better to give charity. If a person gathers all the money in the world, there's a famous story about, I forgot who it was, who a very, very wealthy person who collected all the money that they could, and then one day they walked into their vault where they were holding all their money, and the vault closed, the door closed on them, and inside their vault of money, the person died from hunger. So what an irony. The guy was inside his vault with all of the money in the world, and yet he died from hunger. That's what King Solomon says, Lo yo'ilu otzrot resha utzedakah tatzil mimavet. If a person collects money dishonestly, it's not going to help them when they actually need it. Utzedakah, however, giving charity is going to save a person from death. And again, it's Mishlei, it's Proverbs, so it's true on so many different levels. Next, Lo yar'iv Hashem nefesh tzadik v'havat reshaim te'edov. God will not starve the righteous one, and the person who is wicked is eventually going to be pushed off. Now, King Solomon speaks about something that he often mentions, which is the value of hard work. So Rashal said kaframiyah. If a person works dishonestly, then that's going to go nowhere. That's going to all be lost eventually. Think about people like Bernie Madoff or whoever it is. They succeed 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 10 times. Eventually, it collapses. The hand of the hardworking, that person is going to become rich. I think in Israel there's a place called Yad Charotzim, where people wanted to encourage hard work. They use this term. It's a term for someone who's hardworking. Hard work always lasts. And then he goes on to the next example. In Israel, it rains in the winter, and the summer is really, well, I guess everywhere, the summer is really where you put in the hard work for the winter. So, Oger Bakaitz ben Maskil. If someone gathers food in the summer, that's a smart child. Nirdam Bakatzir ben Mavish. But a child that is falling asleep when you have the harvest, that is an embarrassment. Furthermore, King Solomon speaks about how the good work is rewarded. Brachot lerosh tzaddik. The blessings go to the head of the righteous one. Ufi resha'im yechaseh chamas. However, the wicked ones are eventually going to be covered with the theft that they've done. Now we come to a very famous pasuk, and it's actually used as a title for someone who passes away. If you ever see when a big rabbi passes away, they put next to their name, they write Zatzal, Zecher, Zayin Tzadik Lamed in Hebrew, which stands for Zecher Tzadik Livracha. So that's exactly what the pasuk says here. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. When you think of someone righteous, when you think of someone good, then you remember them with a blessing. You say, when my grandfather, Alav Shalom, when my Rabbi, Alav Shalom, whenever you think of someone good, you mention also a good thing about them. There's always a sense of yearning. You miss them. You want to say something good about them. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. However, Shem Resha'im Yirkab. When someone is wicked, then their legacy is cursed. So always take the side of goodness, because whenever someone does something good, everyone thinks about them, even without them dying. If you think about a friend that's a good person, that's a kind person, that's always helping others, you say, that you mention them with a blessing. But Shem Resha'im Yirkab. But when you mention someone who has not taken that path, someone who's wicked, then their name, even without anyone saying anything, automatically is condemned. Now we come to a verse that is one of the most famous ones. Rashi quotes it with regard to Moses. A wise person is going to take mitzvot. And the reason this verse is so famous is because when the Jews left Egypt, Moses took with him the coffin of Joseph. And Rashi there comments, and he says, did Moses not have anything better to do than take the coffin of Moses? I mean, there were so many Jews. Anyone could have taken the coffin of Joseph. Why is it that of all people, the one who had to take the coffin of Joseph, why did that have to be Moshe? Couldn't he find someone else to do the schlepping, the carrying? Couldn't he find someone else to do it? And so Rashi cites this pasuk right here from Mishlei chapter 10. Chacham lev yikach mitzvot. If someone is smart, then they take every opportunity that they have. They take every chance that they get to do a mitzvah. And even when it is, sometimes you go on the train, you go on a bus, you think it's downtime, you think it's dead time. But if you think about it, there's always something you can do. You can text someone who's sick, I'm thinking about you. You can wish someone a Shabbat Shalom. There's always something kind you can do. And so what he says here is, Chacham lev yikach mitzvot. A wise person is always going to make sure to take advantage of their time and resources and do mitzvot and do something good. He continues. Someone who is the opposite of a wise person, even when they have the opportunity, you come and say to them, can you help me do this mitzvah? Can you help me do that mitzvah? Can you help me with this good thing, with that good thing? they're always going to say like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can help. The foolish one is the opposite. Even when he has an opportunity to do something good, he doesn't really do it. Pasuk tet, holech batom yelech betach. If someone goes innocently, if someone goes truthfully, if someone goes with integrity, then they will walk with security. But someone who walks in a crooked way, eventually it's going to become known, and that's going to come to an end. Now we come to such a powerful lesson, which is the power of words, the power of speech. It's incredible how, especially when you're talking about people who don't have someone else, when you're talking about someone who's living alone, when you're talking about someone who's going through a difficult time, when you're talking about someone, a kid in school who's not sure, the power of just one sentence to change someone for the better, to make them feel cared for, to make sure that you convey that you believe in them is just incredible. And that's what we say here. Mekor chaim pi tzadik. The mouth of a righteous is a source of life. They're always saying good things, and it's an incredibly powerful resource. So it's both, what he's saying here is both prescriptive and predictive. If you're righteous, use the power of the words to be a mekor chaim, a source of life. Ufi reshaim yechasech hamas. But the mouth of the wicked, it's only covering wickedness. It's only bringing negative things. Next is, the next pasuk is talking about, this is kind of something from the movies. When you see someone winking in a way that's sinister, something like that, it says, Mekor ufir sha'im yechasech hamas. I'm sorry, pasuk yud. If someone winks with their eye in a sinister way, it only brings on negativity. But someone who is he's foolish with his mouth, then it only causes trouble. We come now to a verse that I would say is the foundation of all psychology, of all interpersonal interactions, if there is one verse that can account for the majority of human interactions, this is the pasuk. It is so powerful and it has so many meanings to it. Sin'a te'orer medanim ve'al kol psha'im techaseh ahava. Hatred brings up strife, and love covers for all inadequacies. So basically what it means is follows. If two people are fighting and if two people are not fighting, if two people are together and they hate each other, then there will be causes for fights. If two nations hate each other and they share a border, then there will be causes for fights. Sin'a te'orer medanim. If there's hatred, there will be a fight. There doesn't have to be real cause for the fight, but the hatred is going to invoke the fight. Sin'a te'orer medanim. Ve'al kol pesha'im techaseh ahava. But love will overcome and take over for any kind of dispute. So basically, what it's saying here is that based on love or hate, that is where you'll have the episodes of conflict. If there's love, then it doesn't matter what the conflict is, it's going to be resolved. If there is hate, it doesn't matter how little cause for a fight there is, there will be conflict. Sin'a te'orer medanim. Hatred will bring up conflict. Ve'al kol psha'im techaseh ahava. But love will cover up for any kind of conflict. Rashi says this is not only talking about interpersonal connections, but it's also talking about sins. Because if a person is doing good deeds, and by and large they're doing good deeds, and here and there they forget to do the right thing, then that may, then not that it's going to be forgiven for what they did that's good, but it's going to give them extension. It's good. God won't be upset if they are maybe negligent with one thing or the other. But if someone then goes and worships Avodah Zarah, they commit idol worship, God says, you're worshiping idols, you're doing such terrible things. I remember all these different things that you've done. So, sin'at te'orer medanim. When there is hate, when someone goes on and worships Avodah Zarah, he shows disregard to Hashem. He shows that it's not important to him. Then that causes disputes and it causes actual strictness and everyone's nitpicking and finding cause for fight. However, al kol psha'im techaseh ahava, love, when there is love, it covers up for every single sin, for every single trouble. Pasuk Yud Gimel. Besiftei navon timatzeh chokhmah. When a person is very wise, then you will find that in their speech. And Rashi says this is speaking about when you rebuke someone. If you come to someone who's smart and you say, listen, you're making this mistake, you're making that mistake, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. If it's a wise person that's looking to learn, they obviously we're not talking about a situation of conflict, but they'll take what you have to say. If you come to a smart person, you say, look, you're making this mistake and I think you can do better with this, this, and that. They'll listen. They'll say, you know what, that's a good point. I accept it from you. V'shevet legev chasar lev. But if someone is heartless, they're always looking to cause trouble, even if you'll bring the most aggressive proofs against them and you'll try and reprimand them and say something that they should be doing differently, forget about it. It's not going to happen. About the importance of being able to listen to others and to attend to what they call constructive criticism. Next, verse 14, Chachamim itzbenu da'at. If you speak to someone who's smart, they will cherish your secret. They will keep it inside. They will not disclose it. Chachamim itzbenu da'at. The wise ones are going to contain and hold in their knowledge. But the mouth of the foolish will be very soon trapped. And you see that when someone discloses something, secret information to someone who's not trustworthy, shortly thereafter that information travels on and goes elsewhere. So Rashi, the Shlomo Melech says, Chachamim, the wise people, yitzbenu dat, they will contain the wisdom inside themselves. But the mouth of the foolish, that is something that will soon going to collapse. The next pasuk is speaking about wisdom and wealth. If a person has a lot of wealth, and Rashi says this wealth is talking about wealth of studying Torah, but it can also be read simply, plainly. If a person actually has a lot of wealth, that may be able to support them. However, mechitat dalim reisham, but the fear, the dread of the poor is their poverty. And there's a very, very interesting saying in the Talmud that says, Batar anya azla aniyuta. Poverty follows the poor. What does that mean? If you sometimes want to get a deal online, let's say you want to get something for very cheap, so you have to have a credit card, and you have to be able to have internet and find the right sale and have points, etc. And you end up buying it for very cheap. But a poor person who has no credit card, no anything, they need to go into their local store. They need to purchase it sometimes for a higher amount, and then they end up spending more money. So it's sad, but often the cause for poverty is poverty. Someone who is poor incurs more expenses just for being poor, which is an injustice, but it is an unfortunate phenomenon in this world. So the other meaning of this pasuk is Hon Ashir Kiryat Uzah. If a person is rich in Torah and wisdom and knowledge, that is going to be the source of their strength. And if someone is poor of knowledge, they don't have much knowledge, then they will not be able to withstand the challenges that they face. That is just pasuk, verse 15. I'm sorry, chapter 10, verse 15. Be'ezrat Hashem, every day we are here, 12 to 12:20. We'll see you tomorrow. You are more than welcome to join us. Thank you so much for joining. And Be'ezrat Hashem, it should be a good week for everyone, for you, for your family, for all of Am Yisrael.